At the beginning of the movie, we see Maho Nakagoshi, a young woman working as a wedding planner. She is responsible for organizing the wedding of Akihito Ishikawa and Haruka Nitta. The couple is filled with excitement, as the long-awaited moment has finally arrived. They beam with smiles, savoring every second of this special occasion. The bride and groom recount the build-up to their special moment, the day Akihito proposed to Haruka. Haruka remembers that night as if it were yesterday. They had gone out for dinner when Akihito suddenly revealed a wedding ring and asked Haruka to marry him. The joy she felt at that moment was indescribable. The woman was so overwhelmed that she couldn't speak. Instead, she nodded in affirmation. Delight radiated from both of their faces as Akihito slipped the ring onto her finger, and the two lovebirds shared a heartfelt kiss. After their proposal, the couple immediately began planning their wedding. One aspect that concerned them both was the cost, as planning a wedding can be quite expensive. Akihito's biggest fear during this preparation was disappointing Haruka. He recalled how his father had let down his mother during their own wedding preparations in the past, and Akihito was determined not to let the same thing happen to him. As the wedding date approached, the couple began informing their colleagues and friends about the upcoming event. Akihito struggled to determine who should be included on the invitation list and who should not. He considered people he had parted ways with for various reasons, those with whom he had lost contact over the years, and even some random strangers he had recently met. Despite only brief interactions, he felt a strong urge to invite them, particularly if they had shown him kindness. The couple progresses into the entertainment part of the wedding preparations. Akihito admits that the whole planning process of the event has been chaotic. However, the preparations continued. On the other side of things, we are introduced to a young man named Yuya, Haruka's ex. While on an island with his friends, Haruka's ex-boyfriend is enjoying what seems to be the best time of their lives. Suddenly, one of his friends brings up the topic of Haruka's upcoming marriage. The other two friends jokingly suggest that he should crash her wedding. They all laugh at the idea, but the thought of Haruka getting married in less than 24 hours lingers in the man's mind. The man reflects on how he met Haruka back in college. They were extremely fond of each other, and he genuinely believed they were destined to be together. However, as the saying goes, it's hope that ends you. After a fight, their relationship ended in heartbreak. Remembering the bittersweet moments they shared fills him with a dark idea. He plans to crash Haruka's wedding. He is convinced that Haruka has been forced by her parents into this marriage with Akihito. Although he may be slightly delusional, he believes Haruka mentioned the wedding to one of his friends, which gives him the information he needs to show up uninvited. His ultimate goal is to win her back. On the way to the wedding venue, the three friends discuss their plans for a dramatic entrance. They intend to burst in when the room is quiet, aiming to disrupt Haruka's wedding. As they weigh the pros and cons of this bold move, they believe that nothing is more important than saving Haruka from an unhappy marriage. From their perspective, they see it as a rescue rather than a disruption. However, something begins to disturb Yuya. He begins to rethink making such a bodacious move. There's a civil lawsuit for disrupting a wedding ceremony, which is a 3 million yen compensation charge for the culprit. Yuya begins to second guess. Yes, he's willing to do anything to get Haruka back, but at what cost? Yuya maintains his composure. The only thing driving him is his desire to reunite with Haruka again. The long-awaited day finally approaches. It's almost time for the reception and guests sit outside, waiting patiently. Among the many guests is a man named Shinji Suma. He used to be a junior classmate of the groom. Suma has always had a passion for film and has worked hard to break into the movie industry. He continued to pursue this dream until he eventually launched his career at a film production company. Despite working at the production company for 10 years, Suma has never had the chance to demonstrate his true potential. He has mostly been assigned to run errands. Even after taking over from his mentor, he still feels restricted and believes there is more he could contribute. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Suma received an exciting opportunity. A senior classmate has asked him to create a video. He was also given complete artistic freedom to explore any direction he chose. Upon hearing this news, Suma was overwhelmed with joy. The happiness he felt was beyond words. It is now 7 minutes until the wedding reception. The camera shifts focus to one of the distinguished guests patiently waiting outside. It's the groom's boss, Toshihiko Zaitsu. Toshihiko reflects on how 3 years earlier, he had an affair with a hostess at a cabaret bar. Unfortunately, his secret affair was exposed, causing a rift in his family. He apologized to his wife and managed to avoid a divorce, but nothing was ever the same at home after such a devastating revelation. Their family remained fractured following the incident. To add further insult to Zaitsu's already deep wounds, videos of him and the hostess in an intimate situation were leaked at his office. His employees and co-workers were disgusted by his actions. The guilt he carried was immeasurable, leaving him to live in misery and bear the weight of his choices. Just when Zaitsu thought his brighter days had faded away, Akihito showed up with an invitation to his wedding, asking him to give a speech during the ceremony. Zaitsu never imagined that Akihito would extend such an honorable role to him, a disgraced man. It was a bittersweet moment that brought him to tears. As Zaitsu began to draft his speech, he saw it as an opportunity for redemption. He vowed to deliver the most heartfelt speech anyone had ever heard. He also decided to experiment with a humorous line and started watching a lot of comedy shows and videos. He rewrote and refined his speech until it was perfect in his eyes. Zaitsu was confident that this speech would leave everyone rolling with laughter in the aisles. The moment everyone had been patiently waiting for finally came. The huge doors swing open, and with a round of applause, the bride and groom are welcomed into the reception hall. The couple looks dazzling, their faces radiating joy as they greet their guests before officially starting the ceremony. The first item on the agenda is a special video of the bride and groom, created by Suma. He has titled it his creative masterpiece. As the short film begins to play, it captivates the audience, ultimately bringing them to their feet in applause at the end. Suma is taken aback by this reaction. The man remains seated in shock, receiving a standing ovation. He had never expected such love from the crowd. Suma admits that he didn't create the video for money, fame, or even for the couple. He made it for this moment. The moment when everyone appreciates his work and sees him for who he truly is as a creator. Next on the agenda is Zaitsu's speech. Everything is going according to plan for him. The audience does not expect such a humorous presentation from the old man, but everyone is laughing heartily. The satisfied look on Zaitsu's face, as he continues to deliver his amusing speech, is truly heartwarming. A man named Inoue steps onto the stage next. Inoue is a comedian who has always believed he is the funniest person on the planet. However, after witnessing Zaitsu's display of pure humor, he felt intimidated and embarrassed about his own toast. Fortunately, Inoue's plan comes together perfectly. He captivates the crowd, filling the room with laughter as the audience enjoys themselves. With everyone cackling, he makes a toast and gracefully exits the stage. Lunch is being served, and while the guests enjoy their meal, the couple receives some concerning news. They are running behind schedule and have so much to do in such little time. The wedding planner approaches them to deliver this update. The only option left is to cut some items from their plans. However, Akihito refuses to eliminate anything they had envisioned for their special day, particularly as he doesn't want to disappoint his new bride. He suggests to the wedding planner that they compress their remaining tasks to make everything fit into the limited time available. The wedding planner accepts the challenge and agrees to help them. Nakagoshi is a wedding planner who drew inspiration for her career from her own wedding. Her wedding planner provided an outstanding experience, which left a lasting impression on her. Since then, Nakagoshi has vowed to make couples happy on their wedding day, just as her wedding planner did for her. Nakagoshi and her team have a significant challenge ahead of them. How can they keep to time with so much left on the agenda? Despite the contradictions before her, Nakagoshi is confident they can succeed. She wasn't disappointed by her wedding planner during her own wedding, so it would be a great letdown for her if she were to disappoint now. We turn our attention to a dancer named Sawa Yamashita, who is a member of a dance group that hasn't performed together in front of an audience in 9 years. A tragic incident occurred when their captain, Nanami, was injured. It has been a year now since this unfortunate occurrence prevented them from dancing. Meanwhile, the wedding planner is going around asking the upcoming acts for significant favors. She hopes they can shorten their performances to keep the event on schedule. The next item on the agenda is the cutting of the cake, which usually takes 10 minutes. However, due to time constraints, they need to expedite this process. After the cake cutting, there will be a brief speech. The woman delivering the speech will do her best to present it as quickly as possible. Nakagoshi is also responsible for increasing the tempo by serving several meal courses at once. She believes this approach allows guests to fully enjoy each course while saving time as well. Next, she needs to help Haruka get undressed in 3 minutes. As she rushes through the hallways with the bride, Nakagoshi instructs Haruka to start removing her jewelry. After changing into new outfits, the bride and groom make their grand re-entry into the reception hall, looking more dazzling than ever. Next is the candle lighting ceremony, which is supposed to last 15 minutes, but is unexpectedly cut down to just 3 minutes. Following that, a video plays on the screen. a compilation made by Suma, featuring goodwill messages to the couple. The final segment of the reception includes performances by the groom's high school classmates, the bride's high school classmates, a magic show by the groom's father, and a tuna filleting demonstration by the bride's father. The wedding planner has merged all these acts into one continuous performance, which is causing the couple to grow increasingly concerned. They worry that having all these performances in succession might not go as planned. Nakagoshi remains optimistic as she urges all the performers to collaborate on a single, grand performance. She believes that by working together, they can create a memorable experience for the couple celebrating their special occasion. Fortunately, the event unfolds as planned. The audience is amazed by how well all the acts come together to deliver a unified and entertaining performance. Typically, such collaboration might result in disorganization, but this time, everything flows smoothly, leaving the crowd in awe. The performance is spectacular and lifts the audience to their feet when it concludes. A loud round of applause fills the room, rendering Nakagoshi speechless. Despite her initial optimism, she had grappled with doubts and uncertainties. Witnessing the success of the performance brings her to tears. It is a poignant moment as the crowd continues to applaud while the performers exit the stage. As the performers return to their seats, they express their amazement at how well they performed. Nakagoshi approaches the couple and shares her relief that they managed to condense the schedule. Now, they don't have to rush and can take their time with the next item on the list. However, there is concerning news for the couple. The bride's father, Daizo Nita, is suddenly missing. He had performed a magic trick where he disappeared during the act, but now he is genuinely unaccounted for. This situation is going to disrupt the event, as the couple is supposed to present a bouquet to their parents, and Daizo's absence is creating a significant issue. Nakagoshi is going around asking everyone if they've seen Daizo Nita. She provides a vivid description of them. He is a man in a kimono holding a sword. However, despite her efforts, no one seems to have any relevant information about the old man's whereabouts. Panic begins to set in even more. Meanwhile, the event's anchor is stuck rereading a telegram repeatedly, trying to pass the time in hopes that the guests won't notice Daizo Nita's absence. The couple is feeling increasingly pessimistic, yet they still have faith in Nakagoshi, their wedding planner. She hasn't let them down so far, and despite the overwhelming challenges they face, they believe she won't fail them now. Just when all hope seemed to be fading, Nakagoshi heard Daizo Nita's voice echoing in the hallways. She rushes out to find him and cannot contain her joy at seeing him safe and unharmed. Daizo explains that he had gotten lost, wandered into a strange room, and struggled to find his way back to the ceremony. Nakagoshi is just relieved that he is with them now, and in time for the next item on the agenda. Among those relieved to hear that Daizo Nita has been found is the ceremony's anchor. No longer needing to reread the telegram to pass the time, she lets out a sigh of relief and informs the audience that they will now proceed to the next act, which is the bouquet presentation by the bride and groom. Haruka reads a heartfelt letter to her parents, and as the parents of the couple stand in line, Haruka and Akihito present them with bouquets. The big event eventually comes to an end, and one by one, the guests begin to leave. They stop at the exit to congratulate the couple before walking out. The first to speak is Zaitsu, who expresses his gratitude to Akihito for the opportunity to be a part of this special day. He shares how this experience has transformed him into a new man, and thanks everyone for the chance to participate. Each guest who performed also expressed their congratulations and appreciation to the couple for the memorable occasion. Haruka and Akihito take a moment to thank their guests for making the day even more unforgettable. As the room fills with laughter and chatter, Nakagoshi and Akihito stand off to the side having a conversation. The groom expresses his gratitude for having such a dedicated and reliable wedding planner. He shares that he initially had doubts about even having a wedding, but Nakagoshi eased all of his uncertainties, and he is thankful for that. He appreciates the entire experience. Nakagoshi in turn expresses her gratitude for Akihito's trust in her from the beginning. Haruka also rushes over to thank her wedding planner, telling Nakagoshi how deeply grateful she is for all that she has accomplished with limited resources. She emphasizes that this is a day she will never forget. Nakagoshi is simply thankful for the experience and feels proud to have been a part of such a special occasion. Nakagoshi exits the reception hall, smiling alongside the bride and groom. However, in the hallway, she notices some of her team gathered and deep in conversation. Curious about what has brought them together, she approaches them and asks what the matter is. One of her team members explains that during the reception, at exactly 11:30 p.m., while the guests were still outside, Haruka had thrown her flower bouquet for one of her bridesmaids to catch. At that moment, a burglar named Sawada was also present. Sawada is a thief and a repeat offender who received a 3-year sentence a year ago. One day, tired of his current situation, he escaped while meeting with his attorney and has been on the run ever since. To avoid recognition, he changed his hairstyle and lived underground for a while. Eventually, he made his way to a wedding reception, sneaking in while posing as one of the staff members. At the reception, Sawada was handed a pile of envelopes filled with monetary gifts for the couple. He was supposed to take this to the safe. Meanwhile, the couple was just making their entrance into the reception hall. Yuya, who was unfamiliar with the premises, asked Sawada for directions. Sawada, stating not to be a worker there, and claimed he had no idea where to go. Yuya found this suspicious and decided to follow him. In an attempt to find the suspicious man, Yuya got lost. He was still unable to locate Sawada and began to second-guess himself. At some point, Yuya thought he might be overthinking things, and that Sawada wasn't a bad person after all. Despite continuing his search, Sawada was nowhere to be found. At noon, Sawada remained in hiding while Yuya was still looking for him. Initially, Yuya had attended the wedding with the intention of disrupting it and taking Haruka back. However, he finally decided it was time to make his big entrance. To his dismay, when he entered the venue, everyone was captivated by Zaitsu's humorous speech, and no one even noticed him. Everyone, including Haruka, was completely taken in by Zaitsu's performance. At that moment, Yuya felt disappointed. Just then, he had a sudden urge to use the restroom. He asked for directions and was pointed the way by one of the staff present. Meanwhile, Sawada saw an opportunity to make his escape with the bag of cash. Just as he was leaving the building, the bag ripped open, scattering envelopes all over the floor. In a panic, he rushed to the restroom to hide the money in various parts of his body. As he exited the restroom, he accidentally bumped into Yuya, who was heading in to use the facilities. The two exchanged no words and simply went their separate ways. Sawada, growing irritated with Yuya's presence, just walks away, holding himself tightly so as to not let the stolen items fall off from his body. As Yuya sits on the toilet seat, he recalls the oysters he had eaten the previous day, which he believes are the cause of his sudden stomach upset. Meanwhile, Sawada grows impatient waiting for Yuya to finish in the restroom. Eventually, Yuya emerges from the toilet, and Sawada quickly sneaks back in after him. He retrieves the remaining envelopes he left behind and hides them in his suit. Yuya re-enters the hall, desperate to disrupt the wedding. However, the bride is nowhere to be found, as she has gone to change dresses. Unfortunately, Yuya's stomach rumbles again, forcing him to make another trip to the restroom. This time he bumps into Sawada, and everything he has hidden in his suit falls out. Sawada quickly picks them up and runs away, but Yuya chases after him. It turns out he was right to be suspicious of Sawada. Despite having an upset stomach, Yuya refuses to give up the pursuit. Meanwhile, the groom is in a bind, unable to change clothes because his suit is missing. Unbeknownst to him, Sawada has taken it and is currently putting it on. With no time to waste, only the bride is able to change outfits, leaving the groom to wear the same clothes as before. The chase continues as Yuya pursues Sawada tirelessly. While trying to escape, Sawada accidentally bumps into Daizo, who is lost and asks for directions back to the reception hall. Unfortunately, Sawada is unable to help him. Just then, Nakagoshi arrives and guides Daizo into the hall, with Yuya trailing closely behind. Peeking through the door, Yuya watches as Haruka reads a special letter to her parents. As he listens, he realizes that Haruka is genuinely happy with Akihito. Disrupting the wedding, as he had hoped to do, won't change her happiness. Tears well up in Yuya's eyes. He understands now that Haruka has moved on and made this choice for herself. Her father did not force her into this marriage. Filled with disappointment and dismay, Yuya shuts the door and walks out of the building. However, he soon encounters Sawada and resumes his pursuit. As they exit the building, Yuya quickly shouts for help, telling people to stop Sawada, whom he claims is a burglar. Fortunately, bystanders intervene, and Sawada is apprehended. The staff concludes her narration, revealing that it was Muraki, a Boy Scout, who had caught Sawada. Fortunately, Muraki had briefly stepped outside for a smoke when he grew tired of the event anchor continuously rereading the telegram. This allowed him to intervene at the right moment. The couple expresses their gratitude to him for his assistance, and everyone else, including Nakagoshi, thanks him as well, grateful that he apprehended the thief. However, Muraki humbly refuses to take all the credit, claiming that the real hero is Yuya. When he turns around, he finds that Yuya is nowhere to be found. The young man has suddenly vanished. On the other hand, Yuya has returned to his friends, who have been waiting for him. They are surprised to see him come back so suddenly, but Yuya tells them that the plan is off. They then get into the car and drive away. Muraki insists that Yuya is the real hero in this story, as the thief would have escaped his crime if Yuya hadn't intervened and chased after him. The couple is surprised by this revelation and feels heartbroken that they can't thank this mysterious hero, as Muraki has not revealed his name. Everyone leaves with a valuable lesson and has learned something meaningful from this day. Yuya realizes that stealing is wrong, a lesson he perhaps needed to learn by pursuing the thief himself and witnessing the wrongness of trying to steal someone's spouse. Nakagoshi has also learned the significance of a wedding day, one of life's biggest moments. She believes her job allows her to be part of these special moments for couples, for which she is grateful. The couple appreciates their wedding planner for providing them with the best day of their lives. Nakagoshi felt fulfilled on her own wedding day, thanks to her wedding planner. And since then, she has wanted to give back to other couples by helping them create special wedding days. She feels accomplished and happy to live for these moments. However, there are more twists to this tale, as Nakagoshi reveals that she has been divorced for 2 years, and that her wedding planner is now her boss, whom she can't stand. She has no regrets. She acknowledges that a beautiful wedding doesn't guarantee a successful marriage, just as a good wedding planner doesn't guarantee a good boss. Nevertheless, she still feels accomplished. Despite her love for her job, she admits it can be quite taxing. Meanwhile, as Yuya rides back home, he discovers that Muraki has left a surprise for him. It's a souvenir from the wedding, a pair of boxers with the names of the bride and groom written on the back. The movie concludes on a lighthearted note, with the newlyweds beginning their life together. Nakagoshi continues her work as a wedding planner, enjoying the task of bringing joy to couples. Meanwhile, Yuya departs with an important lesson learned.